Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Now we are diving into the do's and don'ts of traveling, of being a travel etiquettes, okay, being a tourist or being a digital nomad, or something for everyone who has left home to go to another place, because we are seeing more and more countries decide that enough is enough, and they want a little bit of respect for their locals, or whatever it is they hold of value that is bringing people into the country. Okay, I want to make this video focus on slow, mindful traveling, because I think you want to make sure you're coming back from your holiday feeling refreshed. If you're feeling any other way but refreshed, you know, when you need a break from your break, I honestly think that you have done it wrong. Anyway, diving straight into it is just like slow fashion. Okay, be intentional. Be slow about your travel. It's not about tick, tick, tick. I've done this. The next one. What's the next one? Bucket list. Let's pause on the bucket list for a second, okay? If you return from vacation, from your holiday, from working abroad, whatever it might be, if you return feeling tired, if you return feeling like you need another holiday, I honestly feel like you've missed the point. And I think the trick is to not cram every moment, every minute with something to do. The number one thing for me is immersion. So immersing yourself in the day-to-day of that culture or that moment or that city, for you to enjoy your experience, your time there. There's an opportunity to reset your habits, to reset your way of thinking, and also to rest, okay, whilst experiencing something new, something that is not what you would typically see in the place you call home, essentially. Travel etiquettes number 2 is to use the travel time as an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. I say this for my Instagram girlies, me myself included, my social media girlies and boys. We don't say, what do we call boys? Anyway, guys and girls. I say this because you can go somewhere and you and your followers are living and experiencing the moment at the same time. Real-time updates. What's happening? What's going on? Where am I? What am I eating? And I find that really takes away from you resting. It really does. And we will go deeper into it in another point later in this video. But I want to say this, okay? Holidays are a great time to strengthen you. They are about you. You have paid money, or you have paid money to be there. Reconnect with yourself. Plan a few things that you genuinely want to do. Complete them. Be thoughtful, be mindful, be intentional. Build good habits, redevelop good habits whilst you are in a different place to your usual place. It's a great opportunity to build routine and new habits, okay? Let that form part of why you're traveling. Let that form part of your etiquette and the way you conduct yourself, because all in all, what you want is to get a lot out of the time you are away. It's a reset for a reason. The more you are zoned in or doubling down on how you're spending the quality of your time whilst you're on holiday, when you get back to your day-to-day, to your normal life, it's much easier to maintain these habits that you encouraged or developed whilst you were away, because you romanticized them, you loved them, you experienced them to the fullest. They're easier to keep. They're easier to make them your day-to-day for where you are, not just when you're on holiday. Okay, cool. Now, in going slow, in taking your time, in appreciating the time that you are there, wherever there is, please be respectful of local customs and cultures, okay? And also plan to avoid crowds. A lot of the things that's very off-putting for locals is crowds. And that takes me into point number 4. Google does a great job telling you and I peak times. Okay, use it. Use technology to find out what are peak times that you can therefore avoid, because that way then you get a more authentic experience, you get happier faces because they're not pissed off, you know, with the influx of people going through their city or their town or whatever it might be. Okay, so do your research about local customs and cultures and find out how to make sure you get a good experience, and also the people providing the service also give you the best, because they're not inundated, they're not overwhelmed. The next point on my list is to keep a low profile where you can. At this point, sometimes some people might as well write tourist on their forehead. It doesn't need to be like that, okay? Just find ways to keep a low profile. This goes back into understanding the local customs and the local ways of doing things. There's some places that you really can blend in and just keep a low profile. Some places you just can't, okay? It's not possible. But you might be physically obviously a tourist, but your behavior doesn't have to be so obvious and so disregarding, okay? Try your best to keep a low profile. That way is where you avoid tourist tax and tourist profiling. You just get a more authentic experience. I can't tell you how many rich conversations I've had because I've taken time to just have a normal day-to-day conversation with somebody who then later finds out through that conversation, oh, actually you're not from here. You know, sometimes people can tell, they can tell right away, sometimes they can't. But the more down to earth you are, the better, because again, you're not in a rush and you're conscious and you're aware and you're mindful. Now, for my content creators, this is a tough one, I'm not gonna lie, because if you are walking around with a camera, if you're walking around with a mic, whatever it might be, again, etiquettes, we're talking about etiquettes here. Be mindful. I think the key word here is be mindful because it's not everywhere that cameras and phones are welcome, or it's not everyone that will be engaging with the fact that you're making content. Some places, some people will join in naturally, automatically, without even being asked. But there are some places where it won't be so obvious. And if it's not obvious, most likely you need to lean on the side of caution to just be mindful to not offend people with bringing out your camera. Allow yourself as well. It's more also about yourself as well. You are going to get a better and more authentic experience if you live in the moment first, experience it before you rush to capture it for your catalog or for your followers or for whatever it might be, okay? Now, if you are about real-time, raw moments, I guess be prepared that you piss off a few people in the process. But again, I think there are so many other ways to doing it. Just be very mindful and consider, you know, maybe doing a summary, consider experiencing something first, matching the energy. Like if you are somewhere where typically the culture is very loud or they are very open and you know, they will approach you and it's all very extrovert. If you're naturally that person, it's going to work. It's wonderful. You know, it's going to be amazing. If you are somewhere where culturally they're very reserved or they're a bit more low profile or whatever the energy might be, do your best to match that energy. I'm not saying don't be authentic or be fake. That's not what I'm saying, but be respectful and try to fit into the vibe or the energy level around you. I mean, I saw a video once of a girl who was buying hair from a vendor in Asia, and the girl was speaking so loud and so aggressively about make sure the hair that you send to me, that you ship eventually when I get back home, is the same as this hair I'm holding. If it's not the same, I'm going to send it back. I'm not going to pay, or whatever she was saying. And the person she was speaking to was very calm, very, very measured, and just saying, okay. The energy she was giving was not matching. You have to be able to read the room as a tourist, as somebody visiting, just purely out of respect. Match the local energy, okay? That ties into what you wear, how you behave, how you have fun, how you conduct yourself. Still being authentic, but the key thing is being respectful and being mindful. How you speak to waiters, how you speak to people helping you, how you approach somebody who might be correcting you. Maybe you're doing something wrong, because that could happen, that might happen. Just be mindful to match the energy so that you're not sticking out as a sore thumb out of being unaware basically of how you're behaving because you haven't measured the ways of life around you, if that makes sense. Last thing on my list is to, if possible, avoid the big tour excursions. Okay, so I know they're cheaper, I know they yeah, I guess they're cheaper, and yes, it's good for meeting other people. But honestly, if you can travel or do excursions in smaller groups, it's better. It's a better experience for you. It's also a better experience for whatever it is you're going to do, and also it's a slower way of traveling. It's a more conscious way of traveling, because anything done at a mass scale, believe me, something is being compromised and something is suffering. Someone is being underpaid as well. Your experience, the value you're getting, is most likely not rich at all. So I would say the kind of traveler you want to be is somebody who looks for more intimate experiences, less about the numbers, less about the size. And this all goes back to try to avoid packing your itinerary with so many things to do, because the more things you do, naturally the more you spend. And if you are being mindful and your priority is slow traveling, it's not about ticking off XYZ, everything off your bucket list. It's not about the bucket list. It's about rich moments, as few as they may be, okay, or as mundane as they may be. I've said a lot of things that many people will disagree with in this video, but that's okay, because I do think there's a time and there's a place where we are going to have to be more responsible about where we jet off to and how we behave when we're there. We are responsible, essentially. We don't want it to get to a place where countries are making it difficult or more expensive for us to travel because we haven't been behaving correctly when we are there, or rather the few that haven't been behaving correctly affect it for the rest, essentially. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it's bringing food for thought, tabling a very awkward but necessary conversation. In any case, thank you so much for staying to the end, and I guess I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe in the meantime.